Yo, my G, what you saying?
My G.
What up, and greetings! Back with another video. This one might be a bit ranty, and I do apologize because I myself don't really like people that, just bitch and moan without actually being able to add something to the conversation, but it's something that I kind of feel like I need to get off my chest right now, and I'm going to be talking about the rise of Druid, and why isn't it actually too much of a rise, because I believe compared to other classes, Druid has always kind of been very strong or up there in between the power level of other classes. So as you are all well aware, we've had Knights of the Frozen Throne expansion going on for about 2 weeks now, and it has established the control meta, which I'm very much fan of, and I like the fact that this meta has slowed down, but it's also been a rise of Druid decks, which if you saw the Tempo Storm meta snapshot that came out, I believe 2 days ago, you can see that in tier S, it's all Druid archetypes. Now there's Jade and Token Druid, which have been around, then Aggro Druid, Ram Druid, and Malygos Druid. And why I think that might cause a problem is that the natural counters of especially Jade decks have been Pirates until now, but with the cards that Blizzard has released, they kind of eliminated those counters with all the taunts, and I'm gonna get back into it a bit later, but I just wanted to show you like a picture that I sort of made recently regarding that. So I'm gonna pop it on the screen, and you can see that I put on Shaman. It was bad and now it's good. What I mean by that is not getting good in the last expansion, because Shaman has been good for a while, but for the first 2 years Shaman was considered a meme class or a joke class until sort of TGT and LOE came around with Tonotrog, Totem Golem, Tuskar Totemic, and cards like that. And Shaman has actually been bumped up in power by quite a bit, because people were crying about its viability, and the lack of strong 2-drops and 3-drops has been eliminated with those cards getting in the forefront. And now there's Evolved Shaman and Token Shaman that is super strong. So Shaman has been good, whereas it was bad in the past. Warlock was good, now bad. I don't mean necessarily that it's super trash right now, because the DK for Warlock is actually pretty strong, and the Demon deck is sort of tier 2, maybe tier 2, tier 3, I would say tier 2 with the right draw. But Warlock in the past has been super strong in tier 1 with Handlock at the beginning of Hearthstone. That was sort of competing with Miracle Rogue and being countered by strong decks like Hunter. Then it had Zoo, that was kind of pioneered with Reynad. And in the last meta that we had with Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, it was Reno Lock that, we had this rock, paper, scissors scenario with Pirates countering Jades and Jades countering Renos, and then Reno countering Pirates in return, which was not ideal, because, having 3 decks that just naturally beat each other with decent draws is not great, but it's better than having one class around the ladder. And with Priest, was bad, now good. Now Priest has become quite decent with the rise of Silence Priest in the last expansion with Dragon Priest, that has been around for a while, and now it's super good with Shadow Reaper Anduin. It was kind of a meme class before that, and at one point there was a Control Priest that was semi-decent. I granted my Golden Priest when it was very bad at that point, and Aukenai Circle was pretty much the only combo that it could do, and you just had to get lucky with the early plays with Northshire and Circle into Injured Blade Master to sort of gain tempo and never lose that tempo. And that's what I mean by that it was pretty bad. When Purify came along, there was a massive backlash, because people were expecting Blizzard to bump Priest, but Purify works now. It didn't work at that point, and that's why the reaction was so negative, because people were expecting Priest to get some help, and now it's got a lot of help. It's got Radiant Elemental, it's got Talon Priest, so it has 2-drops and 3-drops that it's missing in the classic cards. And with Hunter, the last one was good, now bad. Now Hunter was super good for a very long time. So at the beginning of Hearthstone, don't know if anyone even remembers that, but Unleash the Hounds was kind of an OTK deck. Then with Starving Buzzard and the new version of Unleash the Hounds, and actually kind of works similar to how Spreading Madness works now, where it punishes you for overextending, so you couldn't beat it unless you sort of beat it before it redrew their hand and it back established the board. But the more minions you played, the more cards it drew with the Unleash and Starving Buzzard combo. And right now Hunter is in a pretty bad spot. It's not terrible, but it's nowhere near as played as it was before. And Undertaker Hunter, when Undertaker Hunter was like 70% of the ladder, don't even remind me of those days. And the last one is Druid, which is just laughing because I believe that it was always strong. Druid has naturally a lot of class cards that are super good in the basic and the classic set, you know, Innervates and Wild Groves, Swipes and Rafts, and at the point where Whispers of the Old Gods was released, and they actually made the standard and the wild ladder, they nerfed a bunch of cards from Druid. So they nerfed the Ancient of Lore that drew 1 card instead of 2. They nerfed the Keeper of the Grove by slashing its health by 2. Force of Nature. So Force of Nature Savage Roar was a combo that basically got you to from 14 to 0 in 1 hit, and you would have to remove every single Druid card. Otherwise, it would hit you for a lot more. And when Whispers of the Old Gods released, they got Fendril, and they got Feral Rage. They got Wisp of the Old Gods that actually worked pretty well with Fendril. So Token Druid that was played before alongside Ram Druid actually became super good at the same time when they nerfed all those cards. And from that time, you know, it was pretty much being, again, kept on tier 1 or tier S deck all the time. So I believe that Druid hasn't had a time in the history of Hearthstone where it would be terrible. The most run deck before this expansion, because they got Hydra and they got Living Mana, which sort of push token back into the forefront. But Jade that has been very prevalent, and they actually got Primordial Drake and Urban Scales as a sort of counter to those hyper aggressive decks. They had a natural counter in Pirates or very fast decks. But with the cards that they got recently, all those taunts that Druid is getting, it's actually very hard for even those hyper aggressive pirates to deal with them. And I was playing pirates for the last month, and you can be like, this guy is playing pirates and he's complaining, what the hell. But I'm playing it mainly because I want to Golden Garish, and I'm probably like 40 wins away, and I didn't really have that much problem with beating Druids until now. Because beating Druid of the Swarm that can be played with a coin on turn 1, beating Cryptlord, which grows in health by every minion that you played, and spreading Plague that basically summons 1/5 when mostly as a pirate or as a token you have a board full of 1/1s and 2/1s, and you know, quite weak minions is hard to get through the 1/5 of taunt. And if they ramp up super quickly, and if they actually lose all of their cards that they have in hand, well, there's not a problem, because there's Ultimate Infestation that can actually refill your hand. And for 10 mana, the value that it's getting, I think this was one of the sleeper cards that a lot of people haven't maybe thought that it's going to be so strong, but it's being played in, I don't know, like 3 of the 5 archetypes for Druid, except for the hyper aggressive and the token Druid. And yeah, I don't really know what the solution is, but I think that with Blizzard sort of giving in natural counters to what was their biggest weakness, you only really have, you know, classes like the Quest Mage that can burn the Druids, and if you get the right draws, they don't have the right draws, yeah, you beat them. But with eliminating the stuff that they were the weakest against before, it is going to be kind of a stale meta, I would say, for the next, you know, the expansion has just been released 2 weeks, so we have to wait another 3.5 months before the next expansion hits. And cards like just being discussed that Innervate is going to go into Hall of Fame. If that happens, and it's likely that it will happen in my opinion, we have to actually wait until April of 2018 before it happens. So there is not one simple solution to this problem, but I don't know if Blizzard is really thinking this through that well, because they don't really want one class to be ruling the ladder. The meta might still be young, and there might still be decks that appear that will counter it. And we saw a rise of the Black Knight being put back inside the decks, but that's mainly because of Lich King. Uh, and yeah, I don't know what's your thoughts on this. If you agree with me, disagree with me, what would you do in order to help the other classes beat Druid? With the meta snapshot, I've actually seen even a higher increase in Druid decks being played, because of course people want to win games, and when they see something is rank S and totally overpowered, they will be playing that. And people were complaining about Year of the Kraken being Year of the Shaman Stone. So is this year gonna be Year of the Druid Stone? I don't know, guys. Let me know in the comments below what would you do with this problem. If you have any solutions that could maybe help Blizzard out. If you have any decks that you've been very successful playing against Druid. I know that we got the Skulking Geist, and to be honest, I don't really think that playing a six mana 4/6 that is actually only accounted to one of these 5 decks that is being played on ladder as Druid right now is actually that viable to put in a deck even as a tech card, because you still will lose 45% of the games even when it's being played, or so I've heard from the people that experience playing against it. So let me know what you think. Let me know if this video is total nonsense or if I actually make any sense. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye and take care.